You share this. And share this. Nice. Cool. All right, this is something new I'm going to start, and we might do it scheduled. Might do it like every week, every Sunday or every Monday night. But I just wanted to take some time to go over the deep dive calendar, look at some of my favorite stocks this week, maybe look at like the top 25 strangles for this week, and then take any questions. If anyone wants to look at a certain stock in the deep dive, then we can do that too. But first, we'll just do a little overview of the website. So pretty basic, earningslottos.com. The idea of the website is to help you find the biggest movers every week. So it's not going to find you the most popular stocks, right? It's not going to pull up Netflix, JPM, Disney. It's not going to suggest or recommend that you play any of those. And really the goal of the website is to look at past earnings move history, find the most consistent stocks that move over 10% at the end of the day, compile those, and then attack those with strangles on either side. So an out of the money call, out of the money put. And if you feel one way or the other, if you feel like you want to lean calls, you want to lean puts, then go heavier on one side, but make sure you hedge on the other side. The idea with all the high EL scored stocks, you always want to strangle those because there's a really high chance they're going to move in 10% up or 10% down or more. So first, just for fun, just because I haven't done it yet, I only did UPS this week, but I'll make my picks for the earnings pick'em. And because I don't like Meta, I'm going to choose down for Meta. I don't like Starbucks either, so I'm going to choose down for Starbucks. And SanDisk, I feel like SanDisk has been on a tear, but we'll go up with that. So I'll save my picks, though that's just for fun. I'm thinking about maybe building something in here in the future. Maybe you have like 10 points for the whole week and you have to gamble a certain amount. We'll figure it out in the future, but this is just a work in progress. So just for now, this is fun. You can pick up or down on these stocks reporting. And then at the end of the week, you can view a leaderboard. You can see everyone's picks if you want to do that. But yeah, just for fun, the earnings pick 'em is just for fun. You can pick all four if you want, or you can only pick one, or you can pick two. It's up to you. Go for a higher percentage or higher accuracy, or you can go for quantity. So first, what I would suggest you do every week, I'll update the earnings deep dive calendar every week. I'll shoot to update it Saturday mornings at the earliest. But if life gets hectic or something happens on the weekend, snowstorm, I don't know what, then just expect the earning calendar to be updated by Sunday, like Sunday afternoon at the latest, at the very latest. So first you'll see every week, I'll put in the top 25 earnings lotto scored stocks as just a full list here. And I'll show you just suggested strangles that my options API is picking up. The API picks up high volume and high OI contracts. If they are not in your price range, if they don't seem like they're budget friendly, some of these prices, just use this as a good gauge of what general consensus is thinking, what other traders are thinking. Like for example, if I want to rank by call volume from today, then I can see that Whirlpool had a lot of call volume actually over open interest. So that is interesting to me, but I don't want to pay $3.60 for a call contract on earnings. I'm more of like a $1.50 to maybe like $2 guy for a lotto. So I would look at this 87.50 call and I would say, okay, like there's good interest on the 87.50, but I don't want to spend that much. Maybe I'll look at like a 90 or a 92 if a 92.50 is available or something like that. On the other hand, anything that has a high EL score, like I mentioned earlier, it's a good opportunity to strangle in either direction. So if a stock has a low EL score, something like Starbucks or Disney or something like that. In my opinion, it actually doesn't make sense to strangle something like that. It hasn't proven, stocks like that, they haven't proven that they can move 10% consistently. So I'm okay just kind of guessing one side or gambling one side. If I'm going to trade something like Charter or Whirlpool, for example, I'm going to strangle that. And I'm going to hedge that for sure because it has a proven track record of showing that it can move 10% up or down. So if I'm going to play the put side, I'm going to want to strangle the call side with a high EL score. So there's just something to keep in mind. Any EL score 50 or higher, I'm personally going to strangle. So we can look at the top 25 EL scores. You can check these out on your own. Again, this is just a list for you to look at what other people are. If you don't pay for options, if you don't pay for something like Unusual Whales, this is completely free. This is why I built this, so that we can all just look at this and take advantage of the information. So a lot of good names this week. DEC is a good mover. Stride, LRN, that's a big mover. What is that? Sanmina, SANM. I think that reported this afternoon, and it's down. I want to say it's down almost $20 right now. It might be kind of chopping at like that 165 area. But there's a reason these stocks are on this list. They have a high EL score, and as such, they're good strangle opportunities. So take a look at this list in your free time if you want. But again, you don't have to take those individual strikes. Look at the pricing. If it matches what you would pay, then go for it. If you want to look for something a little bit more budget friendly, then move up in the call or move down in the put to get something a little cheaper. That's what I'm going to do myself. All right, so we'll just look at the deep dive this week, just a glance. I'll have the top 6 EL scores here on top. These are stocks over the price of $25 a share. My personal 3 favorites this week, I think, are Appfolio, DEC, and we'll go Charter. I think Commvault reports tomorrow morning, so that one's off our list already. So first, we'll just, if you want, you just look in any one of these, click into Appfolio. I'll give you an EL score, a grade for each stock. The grade is reflective of the moves over 10%. The EL score, you can see the breakdown here. So Appfolio is Thursday afternoon. You're going to be buying contracts for this Thursday during the day. And you can see the historical move on Appfolio is great. Last 6 quarters out of 8, it's moved over 10% on earnings, either up or down. It has a pretty good expected move priced in, so it's got a bump for that. Great share price, right? Like a $220 share price, a 10% move off that is $22. That's perfect. That's going to be really good to get us cheap contracts on either side if we need to. Nice float, 21 million shares. That's a tiny, tiny float. So something to be said for tiny floats. Obviously, the share price is going to move better up or down, but it's going to need some liquidity to do that. It doesn't need a ton, but it's going to need something. No, not really anything to stand out for recent momentum with Appfolio, so no boost or degradation there. And then the options API is picking up. It looks like some preliminary, like people are just feeling it out. This isn't a ton of volume. It's not a ton of open interest, so I wouldn't really take any of this as gospel right now. But Appfolio is certainly on my radar. It's on my list for Thursday afternoon. One thing to keep in mind this week is we have FOMC on Wednesday afternoon. So there is kind of the mindset or the group thought that moves might be muted between Monday and Wednesday. So just something to keep in mind. A lot of earnings traders I know personally will see something like FOMC and then decide, I'm not even going to look at Wednesday morning, Tuesday, or Monday stocks. I'm only going to trade Wednesday afternoon onwards. So if you want to be very conservative, if you're someone that just wants to play just the best setups and it's an FOMC week, wait until after Wednesday afternoon. And then if you're going to trade earnings, trade anything with an ESS pepper icon on earningslados.com or anything over the EL score of 70. That's going to be a pretty good bet for you. So that's Appfolio. We'll look at DEC, which is again another Thursday afternoon report. Kind of convenient how they all stack up after FOMC. Just saying. DEC, really great EL score, 80. It gets an A- for moves. It's out of the last 8 quarters. 7 out of the last 8 quarters. It's moved over 10% up or down. I have personally done really well with Deck, so it's one of my favorites to trade. I don't wear any of those Hoka shoes or Uggs. I have no personal connection to Deck other than the fact that it's made me money, so I like it. Currently trading about $100 a share, 101, 100-ish. So a 10% move off that is going to be $10, 10 to 15 bucks either way. So you're looking at like a 110 call or a 90p. Deck is definitely one that makes sense to strangle. As you can see, it's a high quality setup. It's got a lot of good contributing factors to making it a good candidate for big moves. It's got a pretty good, a pretty decently small share float, 144. That is pretty small, I would say. It doesn't get a boost right now in the EL score. Share price is great. It does get a degradation or subtraction for recent momentum. Last quarter, I think it moved a little bit over 15%. The quarter before that was maybe between 10 and 15%. So that's why that's there. The degradations for recent momentum are to account for pops. So if last quarter the stock popped 15% or more, but the quarter before it didn't, I'm going to look at that as maybe like a one-off or a fluke. And so that's why it's going to get a minus. But because it has such great historical move history, it doesn't matter. So Deck's still a really great call, a really great play. Again, yeah, exactly what we said earlier. So 110 call, 90p, it's 10% in either direction. This is one that I'm definitely going to play. I'll keep an eye on the volume and the open interest numbers as we get closer to Thursday. But right now, I really like this one. It's a must play for me personally. The third we'll look at in this list for fun, we'll look at Charter. Another good one. I've had success with Charter in the past. Pretty good move history. 5 out of the last 8 quarters, it's done a 10% or higher move. So it gets a 70, it gets a B minus. The EL score coming into play, it has a pretty good anticipated move. As you can see, the move history does bake into that score quite a lot. Really good share price, right? Like just under that 200. So again, 10% move, you're looking at like a $20-ish, $15 to $20 move in either direction. No bump or degradation for recent momentum. It's pretty consistent. And so again, like you see, it's a high quality setup, good candidate for volatility strangle. So this is definitely one I'm going to be strangling as well. Don't really see anything that stands out. There's a ton of open interest right here in the 220 call. I don't know if all of those are purchased or on the bid. My website is not showing that right now. It's something I'm going to build in soon. But that's a lot of open interest. And so for me, the 220 strike, maybe like 225, those are going to be interesting strikes for me to look at with Charter. So again, another must play, and Charter is Friday pre-market. So Thursday, we have Appfolio, Deck, and Charter. Charter's Friday. So Thursday afternoon, I'm going to be buying strangles for Appfolio, Deck, and Charter. Strike prices, we will find out between 3:30 and 4 when I post on X. If you like playing the cheaper stocks, this is a section for high scores that are under the share price of $25. MXL is actually a really good consistent performer. Lending Club as well, good performers. If I had to pick 2 from this list, it would be those 2. I'm personally not going to trade these. I don't like the cheaper share stocks. A 10% move on a $20 stock is $2 maybe. So for me, I would rather take the risk reward and spend my money on something like Charter, Deck, or Appfolio, like you mentioned. But if you like this kind of stuff, it's there for you. And all of the information is in each stock. So if you're curious about trading something this week, let's say you, for some reason, you really like, I don't know, let's say you really like JetBlue, or I don't know, pick something else. Let's say you really like Seagate. Seagate's a good one. So Seagate being a semiconductor type stock, I think it reports on Tuesday. Let's see, where's Seagate? Am I missing it? Yeah, here we go. Seagate, Tuesday afternoon. So if you're thinking about playing a stock for earnings and you haven't looked at the website yet, you haven't looked at earningslados.com yet, I would suggest coming to the website, checking out the deep dive, look at the calendar, search up the stock that you're thinking about trading, and then figure out for yourself after reading this data, do I still want to trade this stock and earnings, or do I want to change my strategy? Maybe you were gonna do some wild strangle or something. For something like Seagate STX, for me, it's not something that I would trade guaranteed. If I see something between 3:30 and 4 on the day of earnings, maybe. If the contract chart looks interesting, maybe. But it's definitely not a must play for me. And you can see, I'll tell you, this is a spec because of the EL score being at 38. It's moved twice in the past 2 years over 10% up or down. It'll tell you this is a speculative lottery ticket. So you have major structural issues here. The website is literally telling you that it's only moved twice over the past 2 years over 10%. Do you really want to go with this? And if you do, then go with it. But the information is there to help you make your best decisions. So those are my top threes for the week. Again, Appfolio, DEC, and Charter. Keep in mind FOMC is on Wednesday this week. So looking at buying these Thursday midday. And then some others that kind of pop out. UPS is tomorrow morning. No interest in that. NXT, I do have a little interest in NXT. So 4 times out of the past 2 years, it has made a decent move, 10% up or down. I want to say it chopped last quarter. I'm pretty sure I remember playing it last quarter and it chopped. It was disappointing. So to be honest, anything that was disappointing the quarter before, I kind of like trading. I kind of like buying the dip, so to speak, on the next quarter. So NXT is on my radar. It's not a must play for me, but it's definitely on the radar. FFIV, that's another interesting one. Not a must play for me, but it's on the radar. Only 3 moves out of 8. It's a decent opportunity. It's got some limiting factors, but it's up there. CHRW is Wednesday afternoon. This might be a play for me. It's not an auto play. I do recall playing it last quarter. I think it popped. If I remember correctly, I think the call paid really well. So CHRW is a decent one. It's kind of like a trucking shipping company, so you can maybe glean some information from the UPS earnings tomorrow morning. Not quite sure. Not a bad one. Whirlpool, always kind of interesting / spicy. It's a marginal play. It's middle of the pack. It's, again, not a guarantee, not a must play, but it's decent. It could move. Celestica is an interesting one. Celestica is not bad. Kind of a LVS, no interest in either of those. Now, ServiceNow is going to get a lot of publicity this week because it's a really big stock. Nothing for me standing out. It's a highly speculative lottery ticket right now. Only 3 times over the last 8 quarters has it done a 10% or more move. And it does have a pretty big share float. So as you can see on Now, anything that has a share float of a billion or higher is going to get a minus or a subtraction for that. The more shares something has, the harder it is for it to move, unless it does have pretty good liquidity. A good example of that for this week is Meta. So Meta, while it has moved, we can look at it, while it has moved 4 times, over 10% in the last 2 years, either up or down, it's got an not absolutely massive. It's 2 billion shares. I thought it was going to be like 7 or 14, but I think NVIDIA is way bigger. I think NVIDIA is 7 or 14. But either way, it's got a pretty big share float. And so, yeah, while it has moved over 10% 4 times in the last 2 years on an earnings report in a quarter, it's not something that stands out to me as a play. So again, if it's something that you're thinking you're really gung-ho about trading Meta this week, you have something that you've been thinking about DD-wise or fundamentally that is giving you conviction in playing Meta, check the website first. If you still want to play it, I'm not stopping you. I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't show you the data, though. So Meta, we can look at, the next slide, clicking on that. So Microsoft, same thing. These are all popular names, right? These are waste management, maybe. I have no desire to play these on earnings. So no desire. Thursday, we can look at Thursday really quick. We kind of talked about some of the best ones on Thursday with Appfolio and DEC, but there are some interesting ones. Some weird ones always kind of pop up when I do my research. So whatever Carpenter Technology Corporation is, give it a look. I wouldn't say it's a guaranteed must trade or must play, but it's got some interesting statistics that kind of make it an interesting or a decent opportunity. So that's kind of a weird one to look at. And yeah, like I said, Mo, Caterpillar, MasterCard, Comcast, Nokia, these are all popular, popular crowded stocks. I would not suggest trading on earnings. And then, like you see at the end of the day, Thursday, we got some pretty good ones. Appfolio, Deckers, MXL, if you're into the cheaper shares, that one's potentially going to move 10% more. Western Digital, not really great either. This is another one that I would not recommend playing on earnings. It might look appealing and it might seem juicy the day of because everyone's thinking shortages on disk drives or anything like that. But again, we don't, look at the numbers, look at the data. If a stock has moved consistently well in the past, there's a good chance it's going to move again. If it hasn't, there's a good chance it won't. So it's not rocket science. Friday morning, the only one that kind of stands out is Charter. There are some oil companies on Friday morning. I think Exxon and Chevron. Fade those. Do not trade those at all. Verizon, same thing. Do not trade that. Regeneron, I would not suggest trading that. Again, only one move over the last 8 quarters was it moved over 10% either direction. SoFi, nope. Would not recommend trading that on earnings at all. Only three times in the last 8 quarters it's proven that it can move over 10% either way. Sorry, not into it. So with that said, that's kind of that's this week. Again, my top threes: Appfolio, Deckers, and Charter, all happening kind of Thursday afternoon, Friday morning. So let me know if this makes sense. Let me know if you want to see improvements on the website. This is very much a work in progress. It's my personal project. The idea of the website is to make all of us money. So it's completely free. All I ask is that you just create an account and register so that I can send you some fun emails every once in a while on how you can support me. So again, like I said, everything stays free. And the goal of this is just for us to make money and to make things as easy as possible. So to hit the best earnings banger or trade this every week, that is the goal of earningslottos.com. So again, let me know if you have any questions or anything I can do differently, but thanks for watching and good luck this week.